Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Bill Green's Maine. A lot of us think of the fall as the most beautiful time of the year, even though we know what's coming along behind it. Usually at this time of the year, I'm thinking I'm not going to be on the water much more, but some Mainers work all year long for a very important weekend. It's this weekend, and the event is the Head of the Charles Regatta.
Okay, all four on the paddle, ready in, rope.
It's a quiet sport. Rowers look for the quiet water of early mornings and evenings in order to get their daily workouts. Mary Powers has been a rower since her college days and simply loves the sport.
Well, we've been practicing in boats for the Head of the Charles just the last month or so, but most of us have been rowing a few times a week since April or May.
Almost every day for half the year, you can find the Yarmouth Rowing Club here on the Cousins River. It's a tiny club, just 26 members. They do it for fitness, fun, and relaxation. It's amazing to watch the rowers close up, working in rhythm, straining on every stroke. This year, the club will field two teams for America's most prestigious, the Head of the Charles Regatta. It's a surprising accomplishment for such a small club, says Don Carter.
The one thing we are sure of, that of all of the teams, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of teams and clubs, we are undoubtedly, by far, the smallest.
All right, overhead.
The club has been around for 5 years. It's informal until they load a shell into the river and start to row. Then competitive juices flow as they race along the water's surface. In the bow of the women's masters boat is Amy Smith. She's a competitive rower, but has what it takes to be a coxswain, the person who calls the strokes.
Here's what they tell you. You need to be small, bossy, and loud.
Full pressure for 10 strokes.
Most of the athletes told me they like the coxswains because having one enables them to just zone out. The races, often over courses between 1 and 3 miles, are really fitness tests.
But it's really all about keeping them together, keeping the focus, because it does get boring after a while. I mean, you're doing a very repetitive movement.
A little bit harder up the slide.
Zach Hines is the coxswain for the Masters show. The Yarmouth teenager acknowledges he's telling the crew what to do, but it's supposed to be going according to a plan.
You have to get them to relax at some points in the race so they aren't killing it with the arms, getting the power from the legs. And, yeah.
Do you know CPR and all that stuff?
No,
you
not
might want to learn it.
Yeah, well, we did fine last year, and hopefully we'll improve on it this year. So.
Obviously, repetition is important. The more perfect the stroke, the faster the boat will go, says Michael Stefanakos.
The finish is the kind of the end of the stroke, and that's where the oar comes out of the water. And then you've got the recovery where you're coming up the slide, and you go hands away, and then shoulders, and then your legs. Yeah. And then at the catch is where the stroke begins, and that all the power application comes from there.
Starboard, some pressure.
At the Head of the Charles, the Yarmouth Club will field a men's Masters 4 and a women's Masters 4, both with coxswain. Other club members continue to train and compete in lesser events, and wherever the club rows, members proudly display the club logo.
It's a winged clam rake. These are some of the most amazing clam flats in the world, and we get to row right over top of them. So one of the guys in the boat, I think his son, put the design together.
Most of the club members are Yarmouth area professionals. The winged clam rakes are always looking for experienced new members. Being in the club keeps the cost of participating down.
Well, if you buy your own boat, it's expensive. You know, there are people who row racing singles who pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for a boat. But to be in a club like this, you pay your dues, $300 a year, and you can row as much as you want. I wouldn't call that expensive.
Last year, the two club shells defeated a total of just 6 boats. It was a modest victory, but a victory nonetheless. The hardiest club members will continue to row for another 6 weeks.
Last year, we took the boats out on Thanksgiving Day after a Thanksgiving morning row. And we took the boats out, we went over to the shack over there and opened up a bottle of rum and a bottle of eggnog and had a little celebration to mark the end of the season, and then we put the boats away until April.
They wait to put the boats away because they love the sport. It's fair to say that rowing is a sport in which participants give it their all, but get just as much back.
Watch the setup. 5 more.
It's always fun to be with a group of people who share a passion. We certainly wish their best, the best, at the head of the Charles Regatta. Time now